Welcome back to the Watchtower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Powercast Network. By Cinephiles, for Cinephiles.
Like these
What
guys.
happened? You're supposed
You
to
okay,
join me.
man? That's all right. I don't know what's wrong. Who hurt you?
It's okay, man.
Jimmy hurt me.
Did Jimmy hurt you?
I don't believe anything they
Did
say,
he
bro.
bully you again?
No. The lint, maybe.
Who's Lint? I'll fuck him up. You say.
I don't know, Nail.
I don't know what.
No, man. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. We are
Yay.
continuing our religious month. This particular pick
Happy religion.
is
a thing people say.
exploring the battle between religion and the afterlife, and kind of like the rest of the films. But we'll get into it. I want to introduce everybody in the room, Mr. Austin T. Young,
With the new haircut.
with the new
Trying to get sponsored by Nike for golf. Well, how you
Nike
doing?
Golf. Hit him up.
No, I just didn't switch my hat out this morning.
It's cool, man. It's a tiger hat.
Tiger. Rawr.
You ran.
That's
Oh, wrong Tiger.
That's a keeper right there.
Wrong Tiger.
Go Tiger.
Go Tiger. Mr. Michael Lalo, offering a cinematography perspective.
I'm not a tiger, but I am.
This is more like a
with-
seal.
What?
He's a good boy. Who's a good boy?
This guy's like
Me.
a seal, man.
It's always been me.
Wah.
It's got that.
It's always been you.
It's got
always
those
been
seal
me.
whiskers.
It's always been me.
Show us your whiskers.
Whiskers.
Hey.
You're this close from leveling up in your
Hipsterisms.
hipsterisms
I like
to
it, I
getting
like
a
it.
handlebar.
I know if I could get this part further, because there was one time that I got.
No. See, that's where we draw the line right there.
What do you mean?
You start doing that little pirate little curls.
Yarg. I already say yarg 90% of the time.
No, you do not.
Yarg.
That doesn't count.
It will this episode, yarg.
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Should he
Should he
the
get
curls?
handlebars or not?
Yeah,
Handlebar Pete.
I'd like to
Handlebar-
see his
Yarg?
handlebars.
Yarg.
Yarg.
Mr. Jean-Eric Gasser offering an acting perspective.
Acting perspective, and I'm a little bit lost in why it's called the Seventh Seal.
Oh, that's easy.
Hey, what's
John-
up?
And you,
that's
went to,
easy.
and you went to Catholic school.
Seventh Seal?
And your favorite book was Revelations.
Hey, Castro, what's up with the hair, though?
Oh wait, Revelation's
Strong.
a.
I was trying to grow it as
Audio
much as I
Slave
can,
album?
but I just can't, dude.
You get a fro, don't you?
No.
And it's weird because when I was little, it used to be like straight. Now I get like curls.
Yeah, dude. I
So I'm
haven't
probably
been
just gonna cut
straight
it. I
since
just wanted to get it as long as I could. What's up?
nothing.
You haven't been straight since when?
Well, since I was little, what was he saying?
Since
Also,
12,
saying it's a
dude.
choice.
Oh yeah.
You really?
Whoa. Whoa.
I'm your humble film servant.
kidding, I'm
Carlos
kidding.
Emilio
No,
offering a
I
red directing
love
perspective.
LGBTQIAs.
HDMI PS4, yeah.
See, you're canceled. You're canceled.
I love them all, dude.
Yarg.
Yarg. Love them all. I do, man. I love them all.
Tower Productions
Big ones,
is not
little
condone or
ones.
support. Alienating, whatever. We
I
just
believe in all people.
I
Hey.
believe.
Just letting the Tower
People are
Productions
people,
does
and
not agree
people will
with
be
the...
people, hun.
What's the saying? Does not associate
We
with
support.
We'll dub it in here, like
Yeah.
right here. We'll
the...
just dub it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about.
who are you?
Yeah,
I
who
already
the
introduced
hell?
myself. You guys were listening. They were
Who
listening.
the hell are you?
I'm your humble film servant, Carlos. I'm the offering red
Oh.
directing perspective.
Who
We're
are you?
back.
Nice.
Who are you?
Nice.
We're back. We are back. We're going to continue this series to talk about some more films. Couple more on the docket.
Baby got back.
Who got back?
Baby
Jesus?
got back.
Jesus got back.
Does Death
Two
got
of
back?
these ladies in this film got back.
They were pretty pretty. I would say
They were
pretty.
pretty.
They're pretty.
Pretty.
That's something not a
Yeah.
man would say.
No.
Yards.
We're here to talk about one of those bucket list films for cinephiles, and one that like at least me personally took my sweet time to get there, and I think it's because the French New Wave like really intimidated me when I first got introduced to it.
What about the old wave?
The old wave is old, Austin. We're in the new wave. No, but when I first got into Godard, like you hear somebody like Godard and you think, shit, that's intense. And like me, misguidedly jump into the wrong film to start with. And I'm like, this is too much. I can't handle this. It's right up front, and too complicated. It was like I watched 2 or 3 things I know about her from Godard. And it was, to start the French New Wave was super complicated. So what I did... I went back. I went to Breathless. I started properly with Truffaut, the 400 Blows, and kind of like just went up the ladder, and it does inform something. So I say that because Ingmar Bergman's another one of those names. Ingmar Bergman's another one of these incredible directors who I got into through different films And I didn't start with Seventh Seal. Seventh Seal is arguably his most famous film. But I started with Persona.
Yeah, you were telling me
And
about
that one's a little easier to digest, but equally as complex and interesting.
Was that first or before after this one?
Made after. Seventh Seal was one of his first films, oddly enough. And he kind of went into it. It was a TV movie originally. Yeah, like
Oh, wow.
He made another one very similar to Persona. It was a TV movie.
No,
Forget the name of the film.
this one's worthy.
And kind of just like took a lot of those ideals and recycled them and shit like that. But he's been thinking about this film for a long time, like 5 years before he actually made it. And yeah, I started with like Persona and then kind of went up the ladder. And then I was going through like Criterion has a great collection on the Seventh Seal, like interviews with Bergman and stuff. And I was watching them last night, and I was seeing clips from his career. I was like, oh shit, I've seen that. Oh shit, I've seen. Oh, that's right, that's Bergman. He's so versatile. He did a film called Fanny and Alexander, which is also an incredible film. But my point is, like, you hear these names, and I think a lot of cinephiles get intimidated by like, I'm not ready for that. But Ingmar Bergman, with Seventh Seal particularly, I saw it, and I've never seen it before. This is my first time watching it. And I saw it, and I thought to myself, like, this one's, like, very digestible. It's very fun, though very complex and very layered. These characters are very relatable, and they're fun, and they're playful, and they're witty.
It's
and
a
it's
little
not
confusing.
so. It doesn't take itself so seriously. The subject itself is serious, but it packages it in this great allegory of this group of outcasts. And I think Seventh Seal is like one of those films that it's a bucket list for cinephiles, but I think anybody can watch it and really pick up on whatever they have for them. And I love something that I read. I'll kind of read it towards the end of the podcast from Bergman and his ideals and how he watches films. And Fellini, something that he wrote that caught my attention on how people should watch cinema. And Seventh Seal is just one of those films. So we're here to talk about Seventh Seal. 1957. Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal. This was the man. This was Bergman. This is the dude.
That's the man.
That's the man right there.
The
I
myth?
love Birdman.
You know, I kind of like the cover.
Oh, because it's the final shot of Seventh Seal.
Yeah, but I wish they would have used the other one with death going
The
like this.
famous.
That's the one that I know.
That's probably in here somewhere. I haven't read this book yet, but now I'm going to. This is one of those. Shout out to Literarity. This is one of those like secondhand book shops. Well, they're
Tell 'em
closing
about the
down.
first page.
Sadly,
Tell 'em about the
Wait,
first
what?
page.
they are. Yeah, they're closing.
Oh man. Is it gonna have like a closing?
As I understand correctly, he's shifting into something else. So as I understand correctly, it's not going to be gone forever.
Is it gonna be digital?
No.
Why would what?
No, I mean like if he had like an online storefront where you could still buy those first editions from him, like it's local.
Oh, the Lawn has to see that. Look at that.
That's great.
Gorgeous.
What about the camera?
Gorgeous.
Camera.
Dude.
But Seventh Seal, it's something so spectacular. This is a great book, by the way. Like I was so happy to find this. This is like 4 screenplays of Ingmar Bergman. It's got Smiles of a Summer Night, Seventh Seal, Wild Strawberries,
Nice.
and The Magician. Wild Strawberries was released right after Seventh Seal, and this
Wild
is the Seventh Seal
Strawberries.
like page. But I haven't seen Wild Strawberries, but what I think is fun is that Ingmar Bergman basically filmed 3 films that year. The
Oh
year
my
that
God.
this was released, he made 3
Oh.
films. And in those 3 films,
57.
Wild Strawberries was going to be released right after Seventh Seal. And because he knew that when he was making Seventh Seal, do you guys remember there's this scene where she's like,
strawberries?
please sit and we'll feed you our wild strawberries that I just picked. He just called himself out. Like he just gave himself a shout out for his next film.
Oh, wow. That is pretty cool.
Like a little promo. Like Wild Strawberries is mentioned twice in the film. And it's,
when they're drinking milk.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Cheeky
Wow.
little bastard.
That's
Bergman.
cool. Hey.
Let's get into ratings. I could go on and on about the importance of this picture and why I think it's like perfect
ahead, you can-
to explore in this month specifically. But
Me?
we started with you last time. Let's start with Castro this
We
time.
never start with me.
Would you like we? I'm trying to end with you, but okay,
It's up to you, man.
fine.
We
let's
never
start
end with me.
Let's start with him.
I want to end with me.
We always end
Fucking
with
A.
you.
Fine.
Fucking A.
Go.
The law. Give your fucking rating.
Castro.
No, the law.
We'll say it at the same time.
No.
5,
Camera is on
4,
you. Hey.
3, 2, 1,
8.2.
8.5.
8.2, 8.5. All right.
So we're not best friends yet?
I personally, I'm at a 9.
9.
I'm at a 9.
That's
No,
good.
no, no. Give us your rating. Not that you don't want to give one.
9.
9.
No, I'm really at a 9. I think this is like, again, one of those films that you see in film school in the sense that like you see it everywhere in textbooks and
Yeah,
lists.
absolutely. Just never give it a chance.
lot of the times, in my experience, 90% of the time they hold up. And when they hold up, you're so happy. And when they don't hold up, you're like, well, that's a shame. Why is this on a list? But Seventh Seal to me holds up. And every famous image, like the death opening, or
Ever since I can remember.
Max von Sydow's like face,
Or your tattoo.
the night, or I mean that these images are gorgeous and they're so intentional.
And I say the 8.2 with a little bit of leeway because there's some confusing parts in this one.
No, that's fair.
I
Yeah.
was just gonna say like 8.5, very much with room to go up.
Yeah.
And I don't think to go down, but
No, not at all.
I think watching Seventh Seal, at least in my perspective, is like reading poetry. It's something that like on the first read you might get the surface level of everything, but you can definitely dive into, like you were saying, like everybody's going to find something they connect with more or less,
or a specific character, right?
Yeah,
that they're like, oh,
yeah,
that's...
and I feel like I'm there. I'm on the first read of this thing,
That's a well way, yeah.
and I as far as I was calling them what is it called?
Who?
No, the surrealistic. Like this is a very surrealistic film in the imagery
Absolutely.
and the paintings and everything.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved the way it was laid out. I just feel like I didn't fully get all the layers of it, and that's where I feel like that's where my 0.5s may be lacking from like yours. You know,
That's totally fair, and I think you're right. I think it's a really great way of putting it. Is like reading an incredible novel or reading a complex like Infinite Jest or like poetry. I'm a sucker for these stories. I'm a sucker for
black and white.
no, not exclusively. I'm a sucker for stories like, as an example, I'll give a silly example. I'm a sucker for the Deathly Hallows of Harry Potter.
Oh, okay, that's a good start. That's a good start.
You know, that the tale of the Deathly Hallows. I'm a sucker for like
Never seen it.
classics tales. You know, like you would read in a fairy tale or a folk fairy tale book. You know, I'm a sucker for those stories because to me that's like the core of storytelling is when you can make something up that's fiction.
Yeah.
That is either an allegory, has a message into it, or is just telling a damn good story. And I think the surrealism of these characters. There's a film that I don't think we've covered. It's been on my list forever. A Mexican Golden Age cinema called Macario that I love. That is very similar in tone to Seventh Seal, and it's about that. Like a character gets visited by death because he's stealing food from an altar because he's poor and hungry and his family's dying of hunger, and so he steals like a bird, like a turkey, and death visits him and is like, you're cursed for life because you're stealing food from an altar. So now I'm turning you into a ghost so you can see why it's important to leave that shit. It's like,
Right.
I'm a sucker for these stories. This is just like baseline storytelling for me.
I was sold right off the bat. The devil or death playing chess. With
Incredible setup, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also,
That's
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. That's gold. That's gold from the jump.
Yeah.
I love their dialogue. Their dialogue where you would expect.
You said poetry. I call it like riddles, but it's poetry. It's poetry.
There's different ways to look at it, but I just feel like those art pieces that are like extremely dense have a lot of rich history behind them. But even the dialogue between like death and the night, the fact that it's so passive, and even like when the night first opens up, he's like,
Why?
"Oh, the body's afraid, but I'm not," or something like that.
You know why?
And
Because I think that we're so used to, our generation is so accustomed to splash in the sense of like getting scared. So we talked about this in the last episode for Silence, but this is why I love cinema that simplifies it. It doesn't give you all the bells and whistles. It's a man in a cape in a black robe, and he's death, and that's it. That's all you need to know.
It's
There's
not
no
over the
special
top.
effects.
Yeah,
There's no
it's not
double
over the
voice or
top.
demon voice or
it's not the main character being like, "Well, who are you?" And then
Yeah.
it takes the very end like, "I was death." Yeah.
or like with the fucking Grim Reaper staff and the
And
hook.
they reference that.
Yeah.
They reference that where when they're talking about the plagues and everything.
Oh, really?
Death is because I don't know if you remember, but the guy who gets the plague later on, he has that mask and it's like the skull and everything. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I gotta play death. Who's gonna like what chicks are gonna be into me if I'm playing death? And it's like he talks about death and the scythe coming for you and all this kind of stuff. And that's the way everybody views death. But no, death is just like, I'm here. And it's like,
Been here forever.
I hear you like playing chess. Devil.
Yeah.
Why did he dabble with? Why did he choose to extend his death? I guess
The Knight?
no,
never did.
the death. Why did he choose to play?
I don't think he did. I think the intention
See,
of
that's why-
the intention of this whole film is this. The film tells the story of a knight who's returning from the Crusades. And
he is
just trying to get back
just-
home. He's
yeah.
just trying to get back through the woods to his castle, to his wife. But the plague is rapidly going.
And he's questioning. He's the most relatable character.
He's the most relatable character to you for
me,
sure. He's
yeah,
the
yeah.
atheist. He's the atheist.
He's
His name's John, so oddly enough.
Yeah.
And he's questioning because of how much death he's seen through war and plague, that he's like questioning God. And I read something that was so fascinating that I really connect with, that tells me this character, he wasn't in search of disproving religion or disproving his own faith. He was in search of God. And spoiler alert, go watch the film, come back. But the only way to find God is to die.
yeah.
So that's the whole point of this film, is everybody who questions either God or religion or gets philosophical in their beliefs, they're the ones who die right away. The couple that gets away is this kind of good Christian couple type of deal, who don't question anything. They just live life. They're a couple of bohemians, right? A life fun.
Yeah.
As artists,
They're performers.
kind of performers, and they're just not questioning life. They're kind of just like, I'm going to live my life and enjoy my life.
Traveling actors.
Actors, and everybody else is like, again, they come from different paths, right? Either they're facing war or facing death.
The painter.
The painter, and they're so philosophical about their beliefs. What is the meaning of life?
I love
And it's
the
like,
painter.
dude, you're gonna die, so just figure it out. Like, figure out what it means for you. You're gonna die, and death is gonna catch up to you.
That was his main point. Yeah.
That was his main point.
That death is around.
That death is around the corner at any given point. And the beautiful thing, I call them Fellini endings because I found these kind of endings with Fellini cinema, specifically 8.5, where they just dance and the circus goes on. And that's like the ending we get with Bergman's film. Bergman might have done it before Fellini. Fellini was more prominent in the 60s and 70s. But that ending of like the people who were so philosophical and questioning God and questioning whether God was real and whether their faith was challenged and what death meant, they just danced with death at the end, joyfully, kind of accepting their fate. And that's really is the point of this film, I think, is to explore these characters. And what I found fascinating too is this is fairly semi-autobiographical in the sense that Bergman made this film. He said he made this film because he had a crippling fear of death, as any human being. He had a crippling fear of death, and it became a cathartic experience for him to explore it with making a film.
Did something happen to him? Like,
not particularly. He just like was so frustrated that
He was touched
Yeah.
by the idea.
yeah, like any of us, right? Like any of us, and I think that's what I love about this film too, is that it's the cast and the characters. They're a bunch of artists. They're a bunch of artists, and it's like the artists are the one that have the luxury and the bandwidth and the time to question life, and that they use their art to like try to deal with life.
right.
You say very famously to me that I was like, the art exists so that we can, what do you say, explore?
Yeah, art exists so that way you can process life through the human experience.
And that's
Timestamp.
like what this film is. It's tackling like following a bunch of artists, and I guess if you count the soldiers and stuff like that on a different scale. But Bergman as an artist is like, well, I make films about life, and if you know Bergman's films, one of my favorites of his, which directly influenced one of my films, so who's at this time, is Scenes from a Marriage. Scenes from a Marriage is technically a mini-series. It's episodic. There's a few versions of it. One of them is that they condensed like 6 episodes into a fucking film.
Oh, wow.
And it's a film, but it's so harrowing. Like, it's so incredibly amazing. They're tackling subjects within a couple, and awkward, tough subjects on life and what you believe and why are we together, and how do you feel about infidelity, and how do you feel about so many things. And that's famously what Bergman's kind of known for, is exploring those ideals. He gets into the surrealist space with something like Seventh Seal, and it's just to explore his frustration with death, and as an artist, kind of asking himself, well, like, why do I get to question it? Like, do I get to question it? Do I get to question it through my art? Does a soldier question it when they see so much death right in front of them? And that's really where Bergman kind of came from in something like this. You guys had questions, so
Yeah, I mean, do you feel? Well, you kind of answered it earlier. The elements that the film could be watched straight through, and you just take the surface level of things, which is that, you know, they said off the bat, the knight is constantly playing this game with death, but he's, you know, it's that foolish belief that anybody can like either outsmart death or they can like extend themselves. And I feel like it's interesting to see everybody's rationale, all the philosophical types, their mode for processing it, you know, their mode for being afraid, being quiet, being like taking solace with it.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is that if you look at every character as kind of like a concept of how we all process death, even how we process death near our loved ones. I want to talk about the Squire character. He's super interesting that every time death is like around, you can, and they set it from the very beginning.
He's
and
kind of the most sensitive one to it.
Yeah.
Right?
Which one? Which character?
The Squire.
The Squire, the knight's kind of like secondhand.
The guy that saves the girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that you see it at the very beginning that they go and like get directions from a corpse, and then afterwards like, oh, what'd he say? And you know, he just kind of glazes over it, and that's paralleled at the very end where it's kind of like, who was at the door? And he comes back like, no one. They didn't say anything, nothing. And that's an interesting character because I feel like all of us, right? Like if you were talking to any one of us, your friends, and death was knocking at the door, would you be like, oh man, you're going to die soon. Like we should figure this out and talk about this. And I want to learn so much. Or are you going to be like, as a friend, let it go. Let him have a few more moments of peace and rest and be like, no, you're fine. Everything's good and all that kind of stuff. And it's that choice. And I mean, it's funny how in this folk tale telling of people processing death, it's still a universal concept. Like, how are you going to handle, like, people every day are handling, like, a loved one getting close to passing away. And it's kind of like, how do you handle that? Do you handle that by being in their face and being like, what's going on and all that? Or do you just, like, let it pass, let everything feel smooth so that way you can just kind of get through the days?
That's
there's
good.
in the writing of the script, I don't know that there was any intention with this or not, but the opening line of the script is, the night had brought little relief from the heat, and at dawn a hot gust of wind blows across the colorless sea. But the night had brought is in full caps. I think it's interesting. Like if death is represented by night and heat and suffering just represent life and like the troubles of life or like dying, death isn't going to change any of that. Like, it's not a relief, so to speak.
What do you feel like the commentary is with the other actor and stealing the blacksmith's wife?
Yeah, that took me a while to see who the wife was.
Do you feel like there's any commentary to be like put on that, or do you think it was just kind of like it adds to the tonality of this, where there's a little bit of comedy with a little bit of
At the end, they just
they stay together and die together. Like I mean, it's just
I think it's just like showcasing. I don't think it's specific commentary other than like showcasing the different types of people that exist and how whatever troubles you're going through, kind of like that Coen Brothers thing, like doesn't matter. You're gonna die anyways. Like your squabbles as a married couple, and this guy's like his life and death is his woman, and he's drinking at the pub, and he's so depressed, and he's like, she's gone, and
yeah,
you know, and it's like, dude, you're gonna die. It doesn't matter. I promise you, it doesn't matter. You're gonna die anyways. Like
no, and then even when she like flips the script and says, "Oh, I was just I was just being playful. When we get back home,
I'll make you your favorite food."
Yeah, exactly.
I love that scene where like, is it the Squire that it's like, here it comes, or she's gonna offer making his favorite food, and then she offers making him his favorite food. Yeah, I think it's just to highlight the different types of problems that exist that we obsess over.
And then at the very end, like when they're both talking to death, it's like, oh, and then this is my wife, and you know, we fight, but no more than a normal person, and curtsy, damn it.
Curtsy.
Like,
don't matter. You're still gonna die. I think like in its most foundation, that's what it's trying to do.
So is this film about faith or
it's
the fear of not having faith?
I think, my own opinion, the film is how everybody looks at death and the coming of death.
Okay.
And how we all choose to process it.
Yeah.
Not with the right answer, but just to say everybody's gonna get there one day, you know? Like the only certainty of the entire film that it's trying to remind everybody, death is coming. It doesn't matter if it comes tomorrow or tonight. And, you know, the preachers talk about that when the preachers are going through like, oh, and you smiling over there, yeah, you're going to die. It might even be tomorrow. And you over there that's just like sitting down, like death will come for everybody. Some people, like correct me if I'm wrong historically, but when the plague was coming, that whole idea of like flogging themselves was to try to be like, the plague is coming as God's punishment. And if we punish ourselves, then we are repenting for whatever's coming.
I mean, that's what I love about this film. The MacGuffin is the plague, right? The MacGuffin is showing you a surefire way, because most people will live their lives without any regrets, or not without regrets, without repercussions, because they think death will never get them. But the plague, it's like heightening the chances of death getting you, and you're constantly in this fear. But it makes you question, like, well, if we kind of went through we went through the pandemic, right? And I'm sure people were left and right were constantly asking themselves, like, especially in the early, before the vaccine and stuff, well, if I get it, I'm fucked and I might die, because people are actually dying from this.
That's a very, very good reference.
It heightens the what comes next, you know? And I think that putting this in the backdrop of Seventh Seal is perfect.
Nice,
because
yeah.
it forces you to think about death, whether you like it or not.
You know what? I had a weird thing when I was watching it. Is it weird that I saw death like I see God?
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe.
Cold, precise, you know.
I don't think it's a
no
bad
more,
thing.
no less.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting that when, you know, even at the very end when he's like asking him like, well, can you, like, now that I'm here, like, can you tell me like what's gonna happen? He's like, nope, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm literally just here to.
Death is an angel. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I love
death
that.
is a servant of God,
I love
so to
the way
speak.
Yeah.
that whole thing played out.
The famous image.
Yeah, I don't know why
famous-
that's not the original poster. That's such a.
It's so good. It's so good, that image of death. But I think that's the point. Is
And it's funny how it's also meant to be it's this
like
black veil, but it's also guiding. You know. It's
yeah, I just remember that. That's still so much.
Do you feel like I this is just me being an arrogant American English movie watcher, but
Yeah.
I would have given anything to see a remake of this in English. But because I felt like a lot of the same,
I liked it.
I
liked that it was.
Well, I just felt like a lot of the concepts and everything like that. I don't think a lot would be lost in translation. Like I feel like
True.
if you
death is pretty universal, right?
and then also,
But like you said, it was poetic the way it was. It was
no, but I think if you had kept the same poeticism in the dialogue, it would all work. I mean, that's just also me being like,
No, I see where you're going.
I would have wanted to see some of the nuances, and through more watches, I'll be able to understand that. I was curious at all. Was this going to be adapted for like a play, or is this from an original source material? Like,
I could
where is
definitely
Seven
see.
Seal from, or is that very much a original story by him that he's just awesome? Yarg.
Yeah,
Yarg.
I mean,
Yarg.
there's no credit to anything else. It's not based on anything. The title comes from the Bible,
Seventh Seal.
the Seventh Seal, specifically the Book of Revelations, where they read it. They read it in the last scene.
Yeah.
They read it. The wife reading that portion of Revelations where the lamb, the sacrificial lamb.
So there's 6
Jesus.
seals before this one.
Yes, there's more seals.
Yeah,
I
I
think
didn't watch the
I
previous
think there's 12. I could be wrong, but
This is where the Bible loses me, man.
well, because Revelations is hard to translate. It's hard to like process.
Okay, I'll give you that.
the
That's a
Revelations.
very good answer, and I'm very arrogant.
It's
but
just
that's
hard
good.
because
That's good.
it's telling you the end. It's telling you the end of the story according to God, right? Like
Right.
this is how the world will end, and this is what will come out, and a dragon will be in heaven fighting this. I mean, like there's that, but it comes from the seventh seal when the Lamb opens the seventh seal in the Bible, and it's. If you know anything about like the beginning of the end, it's like the rapture, right? You get taken up by God. Those who believe in God get taken up, and they're protected from death and hell, and they don't experience death. Essentially, is what it is. After that, there's 7 years of tribulation, which means like people who are left on earth are going to suffer so badly. There's famine, there's like
Right.
death, there's plague, there's a lot of shit. And then after the 7 years of tribulation, the second coming of Christ, he comes back to Earth to claim his victims. There's a big battle, and the Earth is on 1/3 of the Earth burns, and there's so much about what happens in the end. And so, in one of those things, there's a bunch of things revealed in Revelations, like there will be 3 horses, and each of these horses have a meaning, and one of them is death, and one of them is life, and one of them is whatever. And in like the reveal, that's like a listing. It says right there. Reading from the book of Revelation, when the Lamb had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour.
Oh yeah, they did mention that.
So I bring this up because I think part of the reason I wanted to compare this film or list this film in this series is because they compare this film. This film is in complete dialogue with silence, and this is part of where that comes from, right? Like when they open the 7th seal, silence. There's silence in heaven, where notoriously in the Bible, heaven, there's angels playing trumpets and they're praising God nonstop, and it's a beautiful sound and there's beautiful noise. Silence. Because now the shit is real. Now it's like,
everybody's like, oh,
what's happening next? It says, and the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the earth was burnt up, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and the grass was burnt up. And the second angel sounded his trumpet, as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea. I think that ultimately, the ending of this thing says, the third angel sounded his trumpet, and then there fell a great star from heaven, burning as if it were a torch. The name of the star is called Wormwood. Death suddenly appears before them in the film. This is like kind of what happens, right? The whole point of this portion of Revelations is like, hey, this is how everyone dies. Like the earth will be burnt up, and there's no escaping it. And this
biblically,
film,
that's supposed to be like if you survive the plague and everything else, religiously death will come for you.
You will die regardless. There's no escaping it. Ultimately, that's not what the book of Revelation is trying to tell you. It's trying to tell you, hey, if you're saved, you're good. If you believe in God and you gave your life to Christ, you're good. You're protected. You have an insurance policy. But if you don't, and you don't subscribe to any of that, you kind of just die. So,
yeah.
I think the complicated nature of that is, I asked myself a ton, like, as I was watching, and I was like, shit, this is really the exploration of death and the fear of that, and the trying to escape death, and it's like the 1957 Final Destination, if you will. And,
I guess.
And like, I thought, is this going to blend with religion? But I mean, what's the ultimate point of religion, right? Is what happens in the afterlife and what happens after our death. What do we believe in? So I think each of these characters, it's like pre-religion, right? Like I love that it's set in the Crusades and the plague, because it's quote unquote pre a single form of religion. The Crusades were Christian crusade. The Crusades were intended to spread Christianity. Yeah. So like this was pre a universal religion, if you will. So this is people trying to figure it out on their own. And if you have this great big Bible like the knight had in his house that he gets to read out loud, or his wife does, then cool, you got something to believe in. But if you don't, where do you stand on the subject of death? And I think that's what this film's about. It's challenging the audience. It's challenging everybody else. Where do you stand on the question of death, on the subject of death? Putting religion, like, with an asterisk aside. Putting religion aside, how do you feel about death? The common consensus is that we're all afraid of it. It's going to come. That is for certain. Mm-hmm. But philosophically, does it mean anything? Should I believe? Like, and I think, like you guys said, the most fascinating part of this is like, what if I just talk to death? What does that look like? He asks him, like, you play chess. How do you know that? Oh, I've seen it in paintings and heard it in songs and whatever. And what does that mean? In Conclave, which we'll talk about next week.
I was thinking the same thing.
The Pope is playing chess with with Stanley Tucci's character.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Why? Who would win?" They asked Tucci's character. And he's like, "He would. He was always 9 moves ahead." And I think that's the point of the chess piece with death is like, we can play, dude, but I know the ending. Like that's really we can play as much as you want, and we can extend this.
That's
process.
why I'm like, why did he contemplate even playing with him?
Didn't they? And maybe I missed it or heard it, but something like they were already playing for a while with neither of them taking each other's piece, because even like the whole
Until he says like,
Whoa.
took your queen.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because like for
When he gives up.
it's
Ultimately.
when the knight goes in the confession area.
Right?
And then he's like talking about the game, but he says, neither of us have taken a piece. But that's kind of like, for a long... I think if you look at that game as a metaphor, a lot of us, when it comes to death...
Please.
Yeah, when it comes to like death, you're not really proactive. You're not trying to challenge death. You're just trying to stay away from it. Yeah. So like,
you're not trying to get its attention. You're trying to sneak
you're just like
away
living.
from it.
You're living with knowing that it's there, but you're just kind of like walking around it. You're being safe with your health and everything like that.
Right.
And then there's like the part where it's like, okay, fine. I feel like death is coming in. I already have my strategy of how I'm going to get around it. So like that's when people start making their big life changes. Getting healthier, like, I'm going to do less extreme skateboarding. But like, I feel like with his character,
well, the knight, right? I mean, you go into war, it's a brave thing. You might die.
Yeah.
And he says, Death asks him, I've been walking by your side for a long time. He says, he's like, yeah, that I knew. And he says, are you prepared? He's the knight's like, my body's frightened, but I am not.
Yeah. When they're at the beach.
And, there's no shame in that or whatever. And they talk about chess. And Death says, yes, in fact, I'm quite a good chess player.
Kind of skillful player, yeah.
And, I mean...
Oh, that's scary on its own, right?
But I mean,
the chess...
What I like about the Harry Potter version of this, if you will, the Deathly Hallows, one of the 3 Deathly Hallows is like, one of them is the most powerful one. The other one is the Resurrection Stone, where you can resurrect a loved one. And the most kind of famous one of the bunch is the Cloak, where you can disappear from death, right? And you can hide from death. You put on the cloak, and death could never find you. And at the final kind of stage of the guy's life, he's like, he gave the cloak to his son, and he greeted death as an old friend.
I love that.
And I think that's kind of like in the chess game. It's like, well, okay, I avoided that dude texting on the road. Shit, cool. Avoided death there. Oh, I avoided drowning in the pool, or like got hit in the head with a mallet or whatever. But ultimately, I think once you get to the point where they got in the story, in the game of chess of like, you let me take your queen, I think that's just getting to the point of death where like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, the knight ultimately is probably the most ready. He's questioning the faith. He's questioning what comes after. He's questioning God. But he's not questioning death. He's kind of like, hey, dude, I know you're real. Like, I'm there. I'm there. I got it.
The girl that they're going to kill, I think... I forget if it's a girl or when he's talking to death, but he's like, he just wants certainty. And that's all any of us want, is that feeling of like, is there certainty of anything? Like, can I just talk to one person who's like seen it and then came back, so that way I at least know what's going on? It's funny. A while back, a little side note, there was a documentary that came out called Afterlife, and it was a documentary talking about all the different people that had near-death experiences.
Oh, I gotta see that.
Yeah, and I remember I went to go watch it in theaters with my mom because she's really into that kind of stuff. But it's crazy because it's like all these different things because we're all just curious, like what happens, like what's after the hump, like once you go over that hill and you're on that side, what does that look like? And even if I could just get a little information, maybe I'll be calmer. And it's funny because with religion and with everything, it's like there's no real answer.
Why not?
No, there's no answer that's gonna make you feel better. Let's pretend.
Oh yeah, there is.
What's
I almost got started. I mean, that's the point of religion. It's meant to.
Oh no!
If you want to explore the word fabrication, that's up to you. But it's fabricating a narrative that's going to make you feel better about dying.
No. But I think even you look at
which is understandable.
This is what I think. The actor, the one who got the plague later on. If you notice, his character earlier on was playing death, and they were singing songs about it, trying to normalize and all that kind of stuff. And he was the most afraid. Even when you see him walking in there, that's why I asked who's at the very end, because you see him still pulling away in some way. I feel like the people that are there to make you feel...
Maybe.
Yeah. It's one exploration.
It's definitely a good one. I mean, I think ultimately, like, it's a dance, right? It's a back and forth, but I picture the night. I picture the night in like modern regalia, like Vietnam War,
jeans.
jeans or whatever, or like whatever, being in the trenches in World War II. Like I picture him just like smoking a cigarette and seeing another dead body or a mass grave and being like, that's the real conversation with death, right? Like the amalgamation or the manifestation of the death incarnate is fascinating because it's like, great, if I had to have a conversation with death and play a game of chess with him, I don't think the game of chess is meant to be extending his life. I think the game of chess is meant to be his exploration, like giving him time to wrap his affairs up. And right now, the affair that isn't wrapped up is all the questions he has. And I think that's like the visual representation of like, well, if I'm on my deathbed and I know the death is coming, like the plague, like I know it's going to catch up to me.
Right.
Let's say you're on your deathbed with...
Which is literally what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The plague is going to come.
With anything, with any disease.
Yeah.
You're in your deathbed and you're like, well, I have a few weeks left and I'm conscious and I can talk and I can verbalize. What questions do I have? Like, what do I got to deal with? What do I got to wrap up before I check out of here?
I think that's everybody's ready to get.
I think that's what the game of chess is ultimately. I think it's like that final conversation of like, hey, you're here. That means time's almost up. What are we doing? Let's explore.
Yeah. I love
Like
that whole.
if the ending of this film, which it shouldn't change a frame, it's perfect. But if the ending of this film was like him waking up from a coma after a battle, and it's all just his subconscious processing what death is look like. And again, this is why the fascinating conversation with me and you guys for the last week, or all of us, about God and what's real and what's not real and what we can process. I think everybody processes death their own way. Mm-hmm. And I think that you kind of build your own narrative, like at the end of your life. And you get to a point where it's like, I don't know what's coming, but this is what my brain is making me feel and think, and so that I can process it. And maybe just there's a touch of enlightenment, whether it's death or God. I mean, because like in religions, famously, there's especially like Mexicans, Southern American religions, there's the saint of death. Like there's the La Santa Muerte that people actually pray to and like take offerings to and stuff like that. Their way of dealing with like, hey, you know something, right? You know something I don't. Just like they ask in the film. Like you can tell us, right? You can tell us what's coming. No, I can't. I think it's the ultimate like depiction of like us being like, so God? Is there a God? Can God do? And the night character is like the perfect. I mean,
I see what you're saying.
He's sitting there listening to the Bible from his wife with a smile on his face. And that's when he finally accepts death as a friend. He welcomes him into his home.
When he comes back?
Yeah, when he's back he's in the knight's castle.
Oh, okay.
They're friends at that point. They're friendly. Even the actor, the husband of the quirky dude.
Yeah.
Even he's like, you see that, right? Like he's the only other one who sees death, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's also like representing the cautious human who loves God and follows God because they're afraid of death. They're always vigilant of like, death is here.
Yeah.
Like we can die at any point. So we should be right with God and we should live our lives. So I love the representation of the night, and I love that arc that he gets to of like, all right, dude, come on in. I've been running from you. I'm with my wife now. I'm listening to the word of God. I'll try it your way. Let's give this a shot.
Damn.
You know?
I have a two-part question, one for each of you. Are we ready? Okay. Castro, this one we usually ask you, but what character do you feel like you'd want to explore acting-wise? Like, is there any that really stood out? They all had the same kind of cadence because of their delivery, but was there anything that stood out? Or I guess another question is, like, what's the most challenging character out of all of them?
Well, I related more with the knight.
Okay.
And obviously, he's the one that's questioning. He needs an answer.
Do you like when you see films and, like, I feel a lot of times when you talk about films and these type of like performances, you always talk about being reserved. Did you like that reserved nature?
He had to be, right? I mean, there's death all around him. He can't be all cheerful and stuff like that. So he played it the right way. The one that I think would be a little bit tricky would be death. But I think he just nailed the part. You don't want death to be more or less. It's just
you can't have him be emotive.
No, he's just like you said. He's a shadow. He's a shadow. he's composed. He's like, he knows what's coming. It's gonna happen.
Also, the fact that his character really is black and white. There's not this.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, like,
there's no hair on him. He's just.
Because even the characters do reference color, and they reference like, oh, did you see the color of the flowers and all that?
They do.
When they're talking about the Virgin Mary, they talk about the colors that are on her and all that.
She was wearing.
Yeah, but when we look at Death, you can't imagine that his face had any like texture and all that. You just imagine that black and white.
Yeah.
I think him accepting.
Yeah, that's
him
very good.
accepting the chess game. There's a small like smirk, isn't there? There's like a small like intrigue, and I think the screenplay even says it. It says,
From Death.
Yeah, he says, you play chess, don't you? And then in the screenplay, it says, a gleam of interest kindles in Death's eyes.
I love that.
It's like, nobody challenges me usually.
Exactly.
Like, they kind of just, I show up in my...
Yeah, and I say, are you ready? And they have to say yes at some point, and it's like...
And if they run, I chase them.
And it's not so much a challenge. It's just like, let's have a conversation.
Oh, sure, let's have a game.
It's intriguing of like, you want to play? We can play. This makes my job fun, I guess. Like,
Right.
There's something to that.
The second question, Carlos, I feel like we ask him usually like what actor you'd want to do. Could you ever direct a remake of this? And would you ever want to?
I'd want to. I mean, it's one of those things that there's a preciousness to not touching incredible works, right? And I'm usually in agreement about that. But this is so intriguing to modernize. Just like modernizing something like Rashomon, which they've done, modernizing something like Scenes from a Marriage. Scenes from a Marriage was remade. This is a Bergman film or series. It was remade with Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain recently, like past 10 years. And it worked. It worked. Like I think that modernizing The Seventh Seal would be fascinating. I wouldn't do a remake exactly as it is. I want to modernize Seventh Seal. Maybe wrap it around the pandemic or something like that. Like would be fascinating for me to explore. But I wouldn't. It'd be like the challenge of a lifetime, the experience of a lifetime to explore this topic with these kinds of characters
and still keep that folklore tonality.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's
still
what this
keep
thing has.
That
whimsy.
That whimsical, but also surrealist, but also magical realist kind of aspect to things, and the poeticism. I think that if anything, it's also important to know when you're not the right director. The reason I probably wouldn't be the right director is because it's so poetic. It's so poetic. Its dialogue doesn't scare me as much as like its poeticism does. The dialogue is like. I interpret it this way. The dialogue in this film, though, it's in riddles and poetry, and it's like so deep.
Yeah.
I think that's just how artists think they talk. I think that's how we think we sound.
And then especially
when we're in dialogue with each other.
Back in those days, right? You just
it's a Shakespearean thing, maybe. I don't know, but I think it's just
Life is
how
short.
we as artists think we talk to each other, especially when it comes to something as deep as death.
Yeah.
Don't you picture yourself in a coffee shop or in a bar talking to a fellow filmmaker or a fellow,
Absolutely.
and you think you sound like that, and I think that's what it is. Anyways, that's. But yeah, I'd love to have a remake of something like this, but
I'm glad I watched this. I never thought I would watch a film like this.
There has to be a balance, right? There has to be a balance with like keeping its whimsical parts, but also being in dialogue with something like Silence, being as in depth as you possibly can with bringing these characters to life.
I also question if you could ever really modernize something like this, because when you look at like fairy tales and folklore, it's not like we look at like these folk tales and think, oh, but think of like modern kids doing that or modern kids going through that. It's almost like the fact that we think of them as these fanciful things that happened eons ago that still speak truth today. That's what makes them more valuable than it would be to say.
Tricky,
Like, I guess it's far enough away, yet the elements there are close enough to us that, even when we look at this and we look at like knights and jesters and all that kind of stuff and going back to your castle, we can find our own parallels. And I think as society progresses on, you're going to continue to find those parallels.
Absolutely.
I think you can still do that I think the ultimate thing is the minute you create a character, well, not create, but you're depicting a character like Death, you're already setting the tone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think if by modernizing it, it's like
I'd almost want to keep the same style of death, but just bring them into the current day.
like
Oh, yeah.
you know that they've made fun of like Bill and Ted. It's making fun of this film. Think about
Holy
it.
shit! Yeah,
Think about it.
exactly.
What do you mean?
That's,
They just bring
It's
that
exact-
same character with the.
Is he
hood.
dead,
Have you
though?
seen Bill and
Or-
Ted's
no.
Excellent Adventure?
is he dead?
Well, yeah.
He's dead,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how he looks like.
Yeah.
Really?
I will say, like, I think just like Devil's Advocate,
That's crazy.
you know, Al Pacino's character.
Ooh.
You're modernizing death. You're like, there's something to
Have you
that.
seen that one? Yeah, it's a little bit more of a modern,
one?
like Devil's Advocate.
Devil's Advocate. It's
No.
Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino.
Oh, no.
And Al Pacino plays
more-
death, but he's
uh-huh.
like wearing a suit. and
Exactly. It's a
looks like
little
a
more
lawyer.
modernized.
And like,
I've
it's-
seen
it's
the
pretty
cover of it. Yeah.
There's a scene, a very famous scene when
It's
they're
good.
in the subway, and
Oh,
the gun thing and the
you have to see it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think modernizing would be okay. The minute you present the character of death, I think it levels the ground again of like, hey, we're in fiction. It's okay. You can come to this world and
Yeah.
believe it. But I think you're right. I think ultimately we're kind of doomed with like, wow, once upon a time. But I think that's the challenge. I think that'd be
That's
the
the
challenge as a
challenge.
storyteller to explore modernizing it, keeping the same characters.
So
Kind of like Rent. Rent did this thing. Rent's based on an opera called Le Bohème, and it just modernized the characters. Romeo and Juliet's been modernized a million times. Like,
Yeah.
I think you can. I think that'd be a great challenge to modernize and remake Seventh Seal. I don't think it'll ever happen. Not just with me. I just don't think. I think they're precious about this kind of stuff. And,
yeah,
and they should be.
especially how delicate right now it is with the Vatican and everything.
Yeah, which we'll talk about next week.
Wow.
Seventh Seal, ladies and gentlemen.
It's worth a watch, definitely. It's a different perspective of life and death, especially emphasizing death. You gotta watch it.
What you'll like about most Bergman films is that they're 90 minutes.
And black and white.
And they don't feel like it.
Fanny and Alexander is not black and white.
No, it is.
No, it's not.
It's a blind.
It's very much not.
That's the copy you got, bro.
No, but most Bergman films are 90 minutes.
Wow.
Not Fanny and Alexander.
It's
I
a
love the whole Wild
strong
Strawberries.
90 minutes. It's a
It's a
Yeah.
strong
it's
90.
incredibly strong. Like, I mean, yeah.
Any rating changes?
8.8.
Is that a cop out? Because I feel like it's a cop out, like changing the rating.
No,
but I feel
no,
like it
no,
deserves
because
it. It
I
deserves
feel
it.
like
Up your
I'm living with
mind.
it, and I think I felt.
Thank you.
I said 8.5, but that's because I felt like, am I on the right path?
Yeah,
but,
I need it- I need
I
it.
think even just this conversation here, and hopefully if anybody like watches it for the first time and
You
they're
have
like,
to.
I don't know what to experience, and they, I hope they can come and watch our podcast and then feel like, yeah, no, I'm on that track, because that's where we're at right now.
That's
It's
what
like
we're
I'm
here for,
living with
too.
it. But 8.8, I mean. I also
gonna-
think we didn't talk too much about the cinematography and imagery, but everything here, I just scream poetic because it has this like high contrast, interesting lighting, unmotivated at times, but that like highlights the emotions of characters. And I mean, I'd want to like just have these stills hanging around me because it feels like there's so much to glean from it. But yeah, no, I know
This
that
is,
on the rewatch, I'll gain so much more.
This is how important Bergman deemed the visuals. I want to read something, which is what I'm looking up. But while I find it,
I'll give you my quick rating up.
yeah,
Yeah, mine goes up to 8.5 where you were at. Yeah, it's a pretty interesting way to talk about death. It'd be very interesting to modernizing it, especially with the 2020. I'm not into like death stuff, but I would have this poster. Because I remember it from since I was a kid.
It's just interesting. It's
It just-
poetic, yeah.
It's
like
poetic, and now I know what it's about, so it just kind of gives it a little bit more. So I'll go up to an 8.5. It really,
Nice. Nice.
yeah.
I will say that. Well, the thing I was going to mention about the end is
The ending of the movie.
It's
the ending of the
perfect.
film is he says
Yarg.
the actors had already gone home for the day, and so he just got a bunch of stand-ins for the wide.
With the carriage.
Oh, and
He got three
I didn't
three
notice.
stand-ins and a couple of tourists that were just around.
So it was one of those that where everybody's done.
And the reason he
Holy
did
shit, we
that
still
was
got one more.
because of the interesting cloud formation.
he was
He was like, "This is it. We need to do it now." And like the actors were like, "Well, dude, we're
So,
home. Like, we're not coming back." He's like,
was-
"Fuck it, we're keeping."
was so was the line in the script of like, I see them, they're walking and dancing, like the way that guy described it.
I'm pretty sure it was because that's how he was talking
yeah.
about the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, but they filmed that part. But I'm guessing it was like that. It was probably like they had his dialogue there.
Oh,
and just
I see
thought,
what you're
let's.
saying. Yeah.
It's such an interesting image. That one too, hand in hand, going into the beyond. Like,
And it's crazy how he said, Carlos asked him like, didn't death say that nothing gets past me?
Yeah.
And Carlos was like, well, it's eventually going to catch up to them.
Yeah, it leads the way.
Well, that's just so scary. Yeah.
I'm reading. I'm paraphrasing because I can't find it. But there's a thing that Fellini, Federico Fellini viewed film analysis as a silly endeavor that attempts to intellectualize a purely emotional, dreamlike experience. He believed movies should be felt, not analyzed. Viewing filmmaking as an organic, subjective, and autobiographic voyage that should only be understood after it's created. So Fellini had this whole thing. Man, and I was saving it for the podcast. I thought I had shared it. He's had this whole thing where he was like, I think it's silly when somebody comes up to me and is like, like that film, tell me like why it's the best film. He's like, I don't care for it to be the best film. If something is the best film, then I'm not interested in it. I want a film that I question. I want a film that doesn't make me immediately say that was an amazing film. I want a film that, because he's like, I think those
Lets
are
you sit with it.
Those are the films that you continue to think about throughout your
And
life
watch
and stuff
re-
like that,
over
and
and over,
rewatch. And I think Seventh Seal is gonna.
No, well, thank
very
you
much
for
appeal.
introducing this one. This one was like, I think a
Absolutely.
left field pick when it came to Religious Month because it didn't feel overly religious. It felt like just solid filmmaking with religion very much incorporated in. But
Agreed.
yeah,
But regardless, go watch other films by Bergman. I mean, Bergman was one of the legends. Bergman was your favorite filmmaker's favorite filmmaker. Let's put it that way.
Nice.
If you see this Criterion Collection thing, Woody Allen talks about Bergman. Scorsese talks about Bergman.
Yo Mama talks
Yo
about.
Mama talks about Bergman. Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to
Wrapping
end
it
our
up.
religious month with Conclave.
Hey, it's been a heavy month, dude.
It's been a heavy
been
month. We're going to
heavy,
end
man.
with...
I've been
we should've-
questioning.
we probably
With the
should have ended
silly
with
one.
Seventh Seal. Yeah, we probably should have
I was
ended
gonna say
with
it's probably the most like palatable. The next one.
You
Yeah,
think so?
I think
It's
so.
modern and very modern.
It's very modern, and I have an argument for why I think it's so palatable, but that'll be for next week.
That's fair.
Okay.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, and then after that, we get into some party shit.
Yeah.
Hood rat.
We get into some
Shit.
party shit. So
Get
let us know
your-
what you think about the Seventh Seal.
Yeah.
Let us know if you've seen it, what your interpretation of it is, how you process death, or not.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about
Conclave on the next.
Conclave.
Woo!
Thank you for tuning into the Watchtower Film Podcast. We'll see you next week. Good night, ladies
Good
and
night,
gentlemen.
everybody. Wait, quiet real quick.
Love you guys.
Oh, hey, Death.
Do you hear music?
Can you hear me? Actually, I think you're about to die.